Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lady Stuff with Cara Maria. I'm Cara, and my website is caramariaananda.com, where you can find more resources and information for women's health, vitality, and prosperity. So today, I have a question about lady stuff from Minnesota. And one of my lovely readers writes in and says, "Dear Cara, I'm wondering if you can direct me to good information, books, articles, websites, etc., regarding natural reproductive health. I'm interested first in natural birth control, as the pill caused unwanted side effects for me, and I'm a little concerned about the risks associated with my Mirena IUD." Well, yes, absolutely. I would love to share some information today about natural birth control. So specifically, I want to share about the fertility awareness method. That is the method that I use for birth control and for achieving optimal feminine health, and I recommend it to everybody. The fertility awareness method is absolutely amazing because it's a way that we can chart the signs and symptoms that we have in our menstrual cycles and our fertility signs, and chart it and write it down so that you have an actual knowing, a very clear scientific knowing of exactly when you are fertile and when you're not, so that you know when it's safe to have unprotected sex and when you need to either be creative or use a barrier method. So the fertility awareness method is actually over 99.6% effective. That's as effective or more effective than the pill when done correctly. So that's the one caveat, when done correctly. What does it mean to do it correctly? Well, it means that you should educate yourself and find professional support. If you absolutely 100% do not want to get pregnant, then you can still use this method, and it's probably the most effective method out there and the safest method for birth control because it doesn't have any of those nasty, unwanted side effects that the pill or the IUD or that other methods of birth control that are offered by your doctor and the medical establishment provide for you. This is the one method that's not going to interfere with your body and that's actually going to help you to regulate your cycles. See, I've had a lot of women say, "Oh, I'm very interested in the fertility awareness method, but I can't do it because my cycles are irregular, so that would never work for me." Well, the fact is that when you do the fertility awareness method, you don't rely on it for pregnancy prevention until you've been doing it for a couple months, and that you make sure that your cycles are regular and that you know exactly when it is that you're ovulating. You see, if you do have irregular cycles, charting your cycles is the #1 fastest way to regulating them, because then you can find out what's going on with your cycle. Do you have a really long follicular phase? Do you have a really long luteal phase? How long are your cycles? When are you ovulating? Are you ovulating at all? See, these are all questions that you just don't know if you go on the pill. A lot of women get put on the pill to regulate their cycles, and a lot of them are just teenagers who of course have irregular cycles or hormonal imbalance or nutritional deficiencies. But when we use the fertility awareness method, then you can look at your cycle, and if you consult with a professional fertility awareness educator who can help to read your charts for you, then you can find out what's actually going on. Maybe you're not ovulating. Maybe there's things that you can do to regulate your cycle, or nutritional deficiencies that you could adjust to be able to balance your cycle, and not only be able to then be educated and empowered to either prevent or achieve pregnancy naturally, but you also then can have more overall energy and sensuality and health and longevity. All of this is shared through our fertility cycles. So the fertility awareness method is really simple. It's basically the charting of your cervix, your cervical fluid, and your temperature. So you check every day and you feel your cervix. You feel the consistency of it. Is it soft or is it firm? Is it anterior? Is it posterior? Is it high or is it low? And then you write down the position and the feeling of your cervix. That's going to tell you about where you are in your cycle. Then you're also going to check your cervical fluid, which you can feel right at the opening of your labia. And you could check right before you go pee. And then you write that down each day. Is it dry? Is it moist? Is it wet? All of these are going to let you know about your fertility cycle. And then the third sign that you chart is your morning waking temperature. That's called your basal body temperature. And so before you get up out of bed in the morning to go do things, you pop a thermometer in your mouth, you wait for it to go beep, and you write down your temperature. That's it. Each of these 3 different things take seconds to do. And then if you do it consistently every day and you write down your charts on your fertility cycle, then you can then read this information to know exactly when you're fertile and exactly when you're not. And use that information to balance and regulate your cycles and achieve health, and know in your cycles when's the best time when you're ovulating for you to like go out and do social events or business meetings or ask for a raise, or when you would be expecting your period and when would be a good time to stay home and read a book and eat some chocolate or watch your favorite movie. So fertility awareness is really awesome. I highly recommend it. And the resources that you need to have to be able to do this the most educated, empowered way are: number 1, the book Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler. This is considered the Bible of fertility awareness. It will tell you everything you need to know to chart your cycle and to prevent pregnancy or to achieve pregnancy. The second book that I want to recommend to you is called The Garden of Fertility by Katie Singer. This is an awesome book, and it's a great companion to taking charge of your fertility because it talks about things that aren't in that first book. It talks about nutrition and diet and how that affects our fertility cycles. And she draws a lot from the Weston Price Foundation's recommendations of traditional nutrition, which I really support and advocate for. In addition, Katie Singer in The Garden of Fertility also talks about the practice of night lighting, which is a practice that helps to regulate our cycles with the moon and helps to effectively help women to regulate their cycles if they're irregular. So this is really great information. So those 2 books I highly recommend. In addition, you got to check out the article that I just published on my blog called 4 Women's Stories of Fertility Awareness for Ecstatic Love and Sex. This is a great article by Prema Gaia, who writes all about her experiences about learning about fertility awareness and that helped her to empower her sexual health, not only in being in charge of her reproduction, but allowing greater intimacy and deeper, more ecstatic connection, making love with her partner. In addition, 3 other women are in this article sharing their stories about learning fertility awareness and how that empowered their health and their sensuality and their relationships. So definitely check out that article, 4 Women's Stories of Fertility Awareness for Ecstatic Love and Sex, and I will put the link to that article underneath this video on YouTube so that you can go directly to that and check it out. In addition, there's one more tool that I want to share with you that's not mentioned in these articles or in those books. You're just going to hear about it here, and that is called the fertility microscope. I believe that this is a great tool to help complement your fertility awareness method charting and practices. The fertility microscope is a small little microscope. It fits in your pocket. It's about the size of a lipstick case. And what you do is each day you open it up and you lick the lens and you let that dry, and then you look at your dried saliva through the microscope. See, the cool thing is that our saliva is the same chemical consistency as our cervical fluid, and our cervical fluid and our saliva change chemical consistency throughout the month depending on where we are in our cycle. So you can put cervical fluid or saliva on the lens and let it dry and then look at it, but I think it's a lot easier just to lick it, in my opinion. So you look at this dried saliva, and what happens is that when it's fertile, it dries and it creates these ferning patterns when you look at it through the microscope. So you see these channels and these geometric ferning patterns in the dried fluid. And those are the channels that within your fertile cervical fluid allows the sperm to travel quickly through the fluid, through the vagina, into the cervix, into the uterus to achieve conception. So when you're not fertile and you look at that dried fluid through the microscope, it doesn't create that ferning pattern. It just creates these globs that don't have any like real shape or geometry to them. So that is a sign of infertile fluid. So I think that using this little fertility microscope, there's a couple different brands out there. There's the Fertile Focus or the Ovulens, and they usually cost about $40, and you can buy them online. And that's a great adjunct tool to use in addition to your charting practices so that you can feel really confident and assured about when you're fertile or not. And so sometimes you might go to your doctor or Planned Parenthood or your gynecologist and ask about fertility awareness, and they might say that it doesn't work and that it's not effective and that's really hard to learn and it's really unreliable and that you should just go on the pill or just get an IUD and just be a good, complacent patient. But you know what? I want to encourage you to really look into the fertility awareness method, even if you think it might not work for you, because no matter what, it's going to give you a ton of information and you're going to be surprised. It's going to find out that it really does work. And the thing is that women all over the world have been taught the fertility awareness method. It absolutely blows my mind that here in the United States, where women are extremely educated and smart and intelligent and are doing all kinds of things today, that doctors believe that we can't learn about our fertility cycles and we can't learn when we're ovulating and when we could become pregnant, and that we're not smart enough to do that. Or else we really just need to, listen to our doctor and just take the pill or take the IUD so that we're available for unprotected sex all the time, because our bodies should be at the convenience and disposal of men whenever they want it. But that's all bullshit, because women in third world countries who are illiterate and cannot read or write have been effectively taught how to use the fertility awareness method. So this is the most ancient form of calendar marking that there ever has been. In fact, I believe that humans first started recording calendars because women probably took some bones and started notching off marks for their menstrual cycle to keep track of their cycles. There are very ancient artifacts found around the world that are bones or stones that have been marked off by women to track their menstrual cycles. So women can be taught how to track their menstrual cycles with beads or with marking it off, even if they can't read or write. So if an illiterate woman can learn how to do the fertility awareness, then you can too. You can learn how to do this. You can learn your body cycles. You can read some books. You can find some expert consultation, and then you can be absolutely positively assured that this is an effective, powerful method that's not only going to allow you to have empowered knowledge and wisdom of your fertility cycles, your menstrual cycles, and your sexuality, but it's also going to help you actually achieve healthier menstrual cycles and increased fertility so that you have greater vitality and longevity in your life. So thanks so much. I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried the fertility awareness method? Did it work for you or not? Please leave a comment below or come to my blog and leave a comment also. And go to caramariananda.com and sign up for my newsletter. And if you have any questions about lady stuff, feel free to write into me, and I'd love to answer one of your questions in an upcoming episode. Thanks so much.